I love Wicked. I was so excited when you wanted to talk about it because not even just the movie. I went and saw it with my mom in a theater, like in a musical theater when I
Yeah.
was probably 12 or 13, and it stuck with me. I saw it again in theaters. I've listened to the music for I guess now it's been like 15 years.
Yeah.
It's been an actually like a large part of my own growing up and my maturity and my emotional processes. Yeah, I get very emotional with the music and the
I
story.
love the music. I know.
Because I knew you.
Oh,
I'm ready to cry at part 2 when that
I I
song comes
love,
on.
well, I was just gonna say, I don't know, I mean, we can are we just gonna jump into it, or is that
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kinda what I'm doing.
I was just gonna say, I for anyone finding this, I was just gonna keep it to the part 1 and just be like, maybe there are some spoilers, maybe not, but be in anticipation of part 2 coming out, I was just gonna talk about the parallels to Earth right now for just movie part 1.
Let's do it. There'll be more coming then in part 2, we'll do a second episode.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I think. So, you wanna just take a deep breath in, breathe out, maybe one or 2 more of those. Breathe in, exhale, one more, exhale. Hmm. I needed that too.
Yeah, now I feel the need to since that slowed me down a little bit, the need to stretch everything out that's been
Yeah,
moving too quickly.
do it. I wish I could, but my back is really out. So,
Yes, we will be taking standing breaks during this
yes,
episode
we'll
and
see. I might be okay throughout. So
where do we start?
I'm looking at my notes. So we wanted to, well, we love Wicked, Sarah and I,
We do.
and we wanted to talk about part 1 so that there weren't any spoilers until the part 2 came out, I think around Thanksgiving, or it's coming out, I mean, around Thanksgiving. A little the weekend before, but we're not counting over here. Um, and as I was watching part 1 in the movie theater, I went actually, I think 3 times.
I went
Uh,
twice.
it was so good. I mean, oh, but the first time I was absolutely it was I had put the whole scenario together of why this was released now. I don't even know how this came to be, I guess, in the movie world and all of that, because obviously it's been on Broadway for a long time and it originated from a book.
Mhm.
But as I was watching the movie, I was struck by, this is the perfect time for this movie because this is a metaphor for exactly what we are doing on Earth right now. Like it was unbelievable. So I was like, let's do an episode right before part 2 comes out.
Yeah. And people can maybe watch part 2 with this framework in mind with another level, or I'm sure before people watch part 2, they'll probably rewatch part 1.
Yeah.
I know I will.
Me too.
If there's a theater with a double feature, I've never been to a double feature in my life, but I will
Me
do it
neither.
for Wicked.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I got emotional in the theater both times I saw it, but at different parts. And I even remember, like, the first time I saw the musical, I was 13, 12, maybe, and I remember being struck by how many layers there were and how deep it was, but then, of course, I was also 12, 13, and, like, had my heart broken, and "I'm Not That Girl" became my sad girl theme song when I got broken up with. I'm Not That Girl, and then watching it in theaters, hearing that song played, it was, like, all full circle. So it has very, like, deep personal meaning, and I'm sure it has different personal meanings to other people too, but the overarching societal how it fits in with what Earth's doing right now, like you said, is really, really on point.
Yeah, and I wondered as I sat there watching, I was like, "Is everyone, like, seeing this? Is everyone understanding?" I really don't know, and like you said, there's so many layers. What we're gonna talk about might not even be the layer someone else gets out of it. I mean, and that's totally okay because the layers are it's multiple layers,
Yeah.
multiple meanings, multiple ways to apply it to life.
Okay,
So,
so where
yeah.
should we start?
Yeah. So I wrote down, that's what I'm looking at here. It's because this keeps coming up. We've talked about this before, and this has come up in everything I've been doing lately, even in my own inner work with my spirit guides and everything I kind of see going on around. But it is the question of the choice point individually right now, which means then it will be collectively, or there will be groups of collectiveness of do we remember our own power? Do we remember our own power resides within? And w- as I was watching part one, and it was like the wizard is, behind the curtain and it's an illusion, but all of the people believe it. The people don't know any better. That's like firm rule to them that someone is running the show that is the almighty magical power, has all the says, and they're going to follow this magical person because they don't know any better. Basically they're handing all the townspeople and all the people of Oz, right? Handing their
Mhm.
power over to this wizard who all in reality has no power. Like
He has
has no
no
magic,
power.
has none.
He has, like, some skill at building things,
Yeah.
and I guess charisma and lying, and that has been enough for these people to say, "Oh, thank you for taking the the stress off of us, the accountability off of us. We'll just give all of our power to you
Yeah.
and do whatever you say. Won't
Yes.
question it. What you say goes. We believe you."
Yes. And
Sounds
I
very familiar.
it's very familiar, and it's so many again, we have layers of this. So we have the government, we have, organized religion as far as the certain religions that say, you know, the we don't need to go all the way into this, but you're being judged by one god outside of you, and so you're gonna go to heaven or hell, and you are, you know, again, that is outside of you. It's not within. So here are the rules to follow, and then you'll succeed, when you die or whatever. And I know a lot of these we've collectively agreed upon over the years, and we've been chipping away at on the past, a few decades, and we've made a huge chunk in it. But this movie was just glaringly in my face of the illusion of any power being outside of self. And so I'm just going to look at my it, I wrote down, do we remember that the pathway to freedom is by staying true to ourselves and our inner compass? We can fly when we believe. So that now we even have other layers because Alphaba looks different, right? She sees through the illusion. It took a while and she had to learn some lessons, but she saw through it. And then she still chose herself. She chose her. She chose her moral compass and she chose her belief in her ability to literally fly over being basically used as a slave to the illusion of power, to the wizard.
Yeah, and her dream was to meet the wizard, to work with him because she thought he was all powerful and he could even, like, fix what was wrong with her, the ways
Yes.
that she looked different, and in the song Defying Gravity, Glinda says you can still be with the wizard. What just go apologize.
Like,
Everything you've wanted, everything you've worked and waited for." And then Elphaba's response is, "I know. I could do that. I I don't want it anymore, because that's the reality. I've seen the reality, and that's not what I want. That doesn't align with who I am." And yeah, the whole defying gravity moment, like you're saying, is was her taking her power back and making that choice to not go along with what had been predicated and the systems at play. She was like, "Nope,
yeah.
I'm not gonna
It
be."
morally felt wrong to her, she was upset with what she did with the monkeys too, and, like, it was like getting a taste of, okay, in a way, selling her soul to just please and power outside of her, where she's not fully in control of her magic.
Mhm.
Didn't She said, I can't do that. I am gonna be in control of me. I am gonna do what feels good in my heart and my soul, even though I'm essentially gonna be hunted down for it, you know, and persecuted. And,
It
yeah,
it's the much harder road externally.
it's a much harder road,
But she's like,
especially
yeah.
being one of the first to try to crack through those illusions. Yeah,
Mhm. So it's gonna be harder in terms of how people treat me, even though people have already treated me really awfully, but it would be even harder to go back because 'cause I've seen, and the amount of energy it would take to unsee is gonna be even harder.
like, the too late to go back to sleep. Like, it's like once you're spiritually awakened, and she says it's too late to go back to sleep, it's like once you're kind of aware, "Oh gosh, a lot of these things that are trying to exert power over me and tell me what to do," it's just an invitation to wake up. It's just an invitation to, do the next right thing out of alignment with your heart. So, yeah.
Then that begs the question, it's such a good line, "Too late to go back to sleep." I literally say that. I've said it to you, to my friends, in terms of just, like, can't unsee. Once once you're awake, that's it. But if her and Glinda saw the same things, they have the same information, so why is it possible for Glinda to continue within the system?
I think because that can sometimes feel easier to do. Like that it's just easier, and sometimes even in those situations, I wrote down, "Are you going to close my eyes and leap," right? Like, that's so much trust in the universe that if I do something different and it goes against, like, the collective agreement, and, uh-oh, "Oh, no." Like, are you going to hold that surrender that the universe is gonna catch you? If you leap and you fall, is there a safety net? This is so many layers of meanings, like, line of work. What if you wake up to the fact that someone you work for, you're not in alignment there, you don't like what they're doing, but you have to pay bills, so it's like, do you go back to sleep and just suffer through, or are you like, okay, no, I'm really going to speak up, and if I can't change things, I might have to leave my job, or be it a relationship, like, even if, like, do I have faith the universe is going to catch me when I leap? Yeah, that's hard.
When you might not have enough faith at the moment, but it
Yeah.
plants a seed, you
Yeah.
can take steps, and after I asked that and while you were talking, it made me think that Alphaba had been an outsider her whole life. She was never accepted or loved. So, maybe, she thought the wizard would be her chance to be accepted when she realized that to be accepted, she would have to give up everything she morally cared about. She was like, "Well, I've already been an outsider, so I can continue to be one, it's okay. Now I'm choosing it." But for Glinda, Glinda had always been loved, always been maybe not truly belonging and accepted. I don't really know, but she had been beloved by everybody. So then it was like asking her to give up her entire reality when when she asked her to come with her. And she's like not ready to do that.
Well, and I think the difference you just explained the difference. For Glinda, she was placing her validation externally. So of what people like popular, I'm gonna be popular, you know? So, like, that was her compass of, like, that was her world. Do they say I'm popular? Do they adore me? Do they right? And also that's external, but that felt good to her, and so it's also like a ego mind validation, you know, or I don't know, versus, like, inner validation. Elphaba had to, her whole life, find her inner validation. So she was way more grounded in that because she was never loved and accepted, as you said. Like, that felt very fragile to Galinda to try to go that route because that was very, very she hadn't built her inner foundation.
Mm, yeah. Even though they both knew what happened, they saw the same things, it would have been a whole reconstruction internally for Glinda. But I don't know how the next one's gonna play out. I did like that Elphaba didn't seem to judge her for that in the
That's
end.
so beautiful too, right. There's no judgment. These are just different paths. Right.
Yeah.
The all paths are going to eventually lead back to source light, like the soul finding, you know, completion. No matter what path you take, you could be and there is absolutely no judgment in any of the paths, and that's also why I love Elphaba, right? Because she has no yes, she was so solid in her own path that it didn't matter what anyone else did.
They both literally said to each other, "I hope you're happy now
Yeah,
that you're choosing this. I hope it brings you bliss."
yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's different from what I want, and that's okay.
And so, like, what if we all acted like that in life? Like, I totally don't judge you. You take your path. I don't judge you. Can you imagine? I mean,
Ah,
like
that's
stepping
hard.
out of that war frequency and that duality of yeah.
And that's hard because even when you say that, I'm like, what if your path hurts other people? Because Glinda was choosing a path that was led by someone who was hurting all the animals and was literally making them villains and making fear in the society so that he could gain more power. So it's like, how do you
I know. That is the hardest thing about that. Something very interesting that came up as I was reflecting back on all of this, the animals being harmed, um, it made me think back. I know this is something kind of new, and I won't go into all the details on this, but at the end of Atlantis, before Atlantis sank, it became very, like there were DNA experiments going on. There was manipulation, I'm sure, of animals and the people that lived in the Atlantis time period thousands of years ago. And then there was a reset because humanity took that turn of power, like operating on the external power frequency, not the internal. So the external of harming others to gain status, harming others to gain advancement. There was technology got out of control and wasn't led by the heart. So there was a reset. There were floods. There was a whole planetary shift. And right now we have the chance for the redo. And then the fact that Wicked is showing as well and has the same parallel themes. Today was the first time I kind of thought of that when I was gathering some thoughts for this podcast. And I thought this is crazy because it's so many same themes. We all have an individual choice. And and it's okay even if people do take the path of the external power or if and if they harm others in their way, that's their path. But if enough of us take the other path of heart-led evolution and really get rooted in all the magic that's going to come from the humans as we evolve, from realizing we're all one, and I'm you and you're me, and someone that made a bad choice might have been me in another life. or someone I've harmed people and unknowingly, and you know what I'm but I mean, the more we have that, bring that self-awareness to it and take that path, the more it's like a tipping point. So the collective consciousness grows. And so that's why I love just getting this episode out there for anyone kind of half wondering or on the verge of waking up or thinking there's maybe more out there or not understanding what's happening. It's nice to maybe be able to relate it to a movie. So,
Yeah, and there's so much to relate to the movie, it's wild. With with the animals, I think I might have even asked my mom this after I first saw it. I didn't understand why they couldn't talk anymore. I didn't really understand what was happening with the animals when I was younger, and watching it this time, I was thinking, "Oh, like, they're being silenced by the systems, and that is literally leading them to become silent." Th
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, like, the oppression they're facing is causing their biology to change, their purpose to change, their minds, and just how powerful that can be, the collective systems, how much they can really do that to people, to animals, to whoever.
And to think it's all someone behind a curtain pulling the strings, right? So that's it. So it just takes like one brave person, two brave people, three, just s- refuse. I actually wrote down some examples because this is a good segue into that. Um, I wrote down, and I love she's through accepting limits, right? I love that also. I wrote that down. Um, okay, if we translate it to real life, I mean, I thought of big examples, but there's little tiny examples of everyday life, like when you see someone being oppressed or someone being treated unfairly, a child, an adult, that's like just you showing the act of kindness or saying, "Hey, do you need any help?" or stuff like that, right? But there's big examples in real life here. There's like people arresting immigrants on order or something, or going to their place of work, going like, what if those 1 or 2 people or something just said, "I'm not going to do that anymore." Like, they're not harming anyone, they're just living a life, like and I know these are very, hot button topics, but as I said in another one too, what if everyone walked on the battlefield in a real war and was like, "Oh, we're just the same because 'cause we're afraid of whatever, and we're just following these orders. I don't wanna kill you and fight you anymore." I mean, imagine they all just laid their weapons down. Imagine, like, 100 of them just laid their weapons down or, like that. I feel like that's really super powerful. Um, what if a job is asking you to perform cruel experience on animals or whatever it is, and you are like, "Okay, I don't wanna do that anymore. I don't think that's right. Can we do another way?" This opens up, like, infinite possibilities of more solutions to come through. Yeah.
Well, yeah, just trying something differently. In it, I'm through accepting limits just because someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know.
Mm.
We just I like, me included, people or what's happening right now is we just haven't tried. 'Cause trying feels really scary, and you might be on your own, like Alphabet, you might be trying all by yourself, and it might not work, it might, you don't know. But instead of just playing in the system, just try another option of even doing maybe the same thing you've been doing, but just doing it differently. Like, or the same job, maybe function you have at your job. Being like, "Well, can I do it in a way that is more aligned with me, or that is kinder, or that invites more people in?"
Right. What can I do that's in unity, love, and equality for all? Like, what can I do for just that? Am I doing something out of fear? I know I've talked about this before, but it's like, am I taking this medicine? It could be as simple as your own healthcare or your own thing. Like, am I taking this with intentional love to heal my body? Or am I taking this out of a fear that something is going to go wrong or the doctor has scared me into thinking I'm going to, I don't know, um, I won't even go there. Okay. Anyway, it scared me into thinking, I need to take this for some reason, otherwise X is going to happen. These are important dialogues a lot of us are just starting to have with ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even like we've talked about, if you're talking about our own bodies, our own health, it's I'm now very aware of when I'm consuming either food, social media, TV, whatever, out of fear. And it's fear because I'm afraid of facing whatever it is that I'm avoiding, whatever emotions are coming up. So I'm like, no, I'm just going to eat instead. I'll just fill the fear and, or fuel the fear more likely because I'm not actually looking at it. But yeah, just that awareness, look behind the curtain. Why am I doing this? And if I know why, if I can look at it, then I can make a different choice or at least try to.
And the irony of it is these invisible powers behind a curtain, or whatever, we can view it as they're trying to get us to remember our own sovereignty. That's how I choose to view it. I know there's lots of views on this, but the man behind the curtain of whatever system you're really enmeshed in or you're really rooted in, what does that person who's falsely holding, or that energy or that system that's kind of trying to hold power over you, most fear? The person You waking up to your own power, right? That's why the wizard created the scenario that she must be captured, she's evil, right? Lied, like, created a common enemy to keep the collective in fear, so that basically he stayed in power. And so you can just substitute in that anything we talked about at the beginning, an organized religion that wants to keep people in fear to stay in power, whatever it is. And sometimes the whole part of this is us as people trying to navigate these illusionary external powers. I really fear our own power too. So we're trying to remember, but at the root of that is a fear of really how great we actually are going to evolve to be. I think that's actually the irony of it. If I don't know if that, you know,
Yeah, that's the main fear
yeah,
behind everything is,
it's
oh,
like a
well,
mirror.
how can I give away, diminish,
Yeah.
water down my power so I don't have to experience it because experiencing would change my life,
Mhm.
and that would be scary. I mean, you said that some people's purposes are to, like, remind us of our sovereignty or to challenge it. So in, like, the wizard, maybe his higher purpose or his higher self, his highest goal, purpose, he's like, I'm doing these evil things, and he's not aware of this, but his role within the society is to challenge people to remember their sovereignty by being like, "Hey, give it to me." But what really is in everyone's highest good is them saying, "No, it's mine. Back off."
I love that. That's so good. That's exactly it. I think I've said this again before, but if you zoom out sort of and watching things in roles as a theater, what role is he playing? The role of, okay, it's time to wake up. Remember, you're in charge of you. Remember, you know best, and that we're all united, and that we're all here to be coexist with each other and the animals and the plants and the earth. Yeah,
And that is so helpful because it's yeah, they're playing the role of the villain.
they're playing the role.
They are not a villain.
Yep.
If we all are the same, we all come from the same. So it's remember they're playing this role which ah, helps so much, like, in our society, people that we think, in different political parties, in different religions, think so differently than us, even the government that we are so, so angry at and we feel failed by, and that if we can have an iota of compassion to say, "Well, this is the role you're playing, and what is it challenging in me?" Versus me just fighting against you saying, "You're awful, you're the worst." Versus asking me what kind of different decisions I can make. that's the role you're gonna play for me, and thank you for playing that role."
Exactly.
Does I know we've talked about this kind of stuff before, but that did really, like,
That's
hit
exactly
on.
sometimes it helps to have a concrete thing like a movie, though. It really does, but that's exactly on point. It yes.
Yeah. Wow, okay. Whew. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be sitting with that one for a while, I think. Especially since it's in this one, it's just so clearly, like, one man, and even with the yellow brick road, I think they're building it in this movie because he's
Yes.
asking them to pick the color. Everything leads back to him, and people are gonna construct this road, and they're just okay with it.
And just follow the path, because this is the path, and it's a natural evolution that if you think of it just in terms of a cycle, this has been the natural cycle of a planet in the 3rd dimension with 3D density. We're in matter, we're not light spirits here yet on Earth, right? So we're have a vessel, but we're still just that eternal spark of consciousness, eternal spark of divinity. And we're trying to remember that spark. But in the meantime, we have that yellow brick road. And it's like, just do that. This is the thing. You're born, you go to school, you get a job, you die. And it's like, no, that's not it. Thank you for presenting that option. I know we had to evolve naturally and follow that path. This is normal because it's just a cycle. We've neared the end of that cycle, has actually now ended last year in the winter. So
Mm,
we're now starting a whole new cycle of magic. It's different, and it requires a lot of retraining of thoughts, actions, and beliefs, and building new collective agreements
yeah. Where we're not just follow the yellow brick road
that are
anymore.
not rooted in hierarchy, separation, and fear. Yeah. Like, if you don't follow this yellow brick road, bad things are gonna happen. You're not getting to the wizard.
Yeah, or you'll
Yeah.
get killed by a lion
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
well, it's crazy because the wizard even says to Alphaba and Glinda, "Well, where I come from," which I know I've seen other movies that are about the wizard specifically in his background, and I don't know if he comes from Earth specific or if it's something akin to Earth, but he says, "Where I come from, the easiest way to bring people together is to find a common enemy, is to give them a common enemy," and that's what he's doing first with the animals and then what he does with Alphaba. He literally says it.
Yes. And it's like, it's crazy to me. I was reflecting on that actually the past couple of days, and I thought to myself, I know this maybe is also a little bit, hot button topic, but I thought to myself, you can even extrapolate that to the attack on all the gender nonconforming people here. Because if you take like the church, and really the organized religions where they say it's from, you may not deviate from your physical sex that you're assigned for whatever reason, but they're giving you a common enemy, and they're telling you all the people fighting against people having the ability to freely be express themselves in however they want to. That's why we're here. And they are bringing their energy, and their beautiful authentic energy. Anyone who's gender nonconforming or non-binary cannot go against their authenticity. Like, it doesn't feel good to them. That's the beautiful thing. Like, they are here expressing themselves in their energy because they know this is just a form, and that's beautiful. But the people who feel threatened by people who are their authentic selves, say a real organized religion, they're going to rally their people by saying, this is bad. This is, let's fight them. And so sometimes I don't know if upsets is the word, or I just feel these beautiful people, like, they're just expressing themselves, but then they unknowingly get engaged in a war with a set of people because they feel like they have to defend who they are, when no one has to defend who we are. You're simply existing and being you. That's the magic of what you're just being, your beautiful bright light, right? But if they feel like they have to defend themselves or prove their worth, which they don't, this group of people who believes in a power outside of themselves, that's who they're fighting when they already have their own power inside. Like they're naturally here doing that. So I'm always like, let's not give that energy to them because you're already doing your amazing, authentic, bright light.
W
You know?
well, it's so easy to get baited into when
Yes.
someone is actively trying, and those people, yeah, they've been given a common enemy
Yeah.
to bring them closer together, and but also for them to say, whoever in this case, if we're talking about organized religion, for the religion to say, "We'll keep you safe from these people. We'll tell you what to do. We'll tell you how to engage with them. We will, get rid of the problem for you." It they're told all of this, and their fears are played on, and then they go and they engage with these people, these, like you said, these beautiful people who are just being themselves, and then those people have a choice, do I engage with this war energy that is literally being brought to my doorstep or not? And I get like, that's really hard. That's really
It
difficult.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, to sit there and say, like what we talked about with the role that they're playing, like, "Hey, thank you for reminding me of my own sovereignty. Thank you for reminding me that I'm doing the right thing by being myself, because it's threatening you." And then the other people could say, "Thank you for being yourself, because that challenges me to ask myself the ways in which I'm giving my own power away." But instead of,
100%.
yeah, like that on a more and or even on an individual level, if we take it back to, like, Glinda and Elphaba, they hated each other. At one point, an act of kindness, or what, well, Elphaba thinks that Glinda's being kind by inviting her sister to the Ozdas ballroom, right? But it's really to get that guy to stop talking to her. But she thinks she's being kind, so Elphaba does a kind thing and tells her magic teacher to include Glinda, and that kindness changes their whole relationship.
Building bridges. We just need to start building bridges. Yes.
Yeah, with
That's
kindness and assuming good intent,
yeah.
not the intent of, "Oh, you're an awful person and I hate you," the intent of, "Well, you're trying your best. You might be caught up in some stuff. You might be playing a specific role right now. I'll take it back to what can I do?"
Yep. I mean, you just said that beautifully. And understanding that the people rooted in their authenticity are triggering others. Maybe they're playing the role to help the others say, "Ooh, that doesn't feel good to me, so I want to attack it," when really it's because there's something in their life that maybe is not authentic, and so it really rubs up against that. Maybe a bad marriage, maybe, they have a different sexual preference, but they're hiding it. There's so many variations of this, so it's like the people rooted in their authenticity, you're also playing that role of, maybe trying to crack through those invisible illusions too for someone else. But the engagement of war doesn't build bridges. But yeah, anyway.
It doesn't. The
So
kindness does.
yeah.
Yeah, as someone that I know I trigger people,
Yeah.
unintentionally, but an understanding that that is an important role to play for people in their lives, because when that trigger goes off, that person, and having this happen to me where, like, I'm so frustrated, "Oh my god, I'm getting triggered by this, triggered by that," shifting to a space of, "Okay, I'm glad I got triggered, because I know that it's there and I can work with it," rather than just being this landmine that I'm s always skirting around or afraid I'm gonna hit. I can bring the awareness to myself, and it seems like Alphaba and Glinda brought a lot of awareness to each other.
Yes, totally. All I heard as you were talking, I thought to myself, what if everyone just understood when, because I do the same thing, but it took me till, my 40s to be able to do this. But when I felt the need to be judgmental or I was triggered or something, it's an invitation to really be curious about why for me. And, like, imagine more people just got curious and just started being like, "Hey, why am I angry at that? Why am I really upset that that person is, living their best life with no cares?" Or why am I is there something that I'm not that I'm trying to hide? Is there, and just that little, like, curiosity in self before reacting is just everything.
Just a little bit, yeah, a little bit of curiosity, and that pause to let the curiosity breathe.
Yeah,
Mm.
because it may take a long time. It may not you may not understand it for weeks, you know?
Yeah, and that in between that in between time is, ugh, a hard place to be, but very much worth it. Yeah. So, I'd love to know what other thoughts you had about Glinda and Elphaba's friendship in the movie since it was such a I mean, that is such a big part of the movie.
It was so beautiful to watch, and, from the point of Glinda softening her and, like, cracking through this persona that she had built up or that, of, I guess, adoration keeps coming to my head, like, everyone is like, "Oh, she can do no wrong. She has all the material things. She's privileged, I guess, if you will, right? She's very privileged." But to see someone come in and really have her question some of that and open her heart and have that I thought, first of all, beautiful casting, the whole thing was amazing, but that was my favorite part of watching it. I just watching her soften and let someone in who she wouldn't have given the time of day to if she wasn't placed in the same room as her.
She would have done it in a fake,
Yeah.
performative, "Look at how amazing I am because 'cause I'm being nice to you because you're different. That makes me a really good person," versus actually engaging with that person. Right, yeah, soften's a really good word. Even as I replay that scene in the Ozdust ballroom where they're dancing together, like, she gets so much softer in that couple minutes.
And you see her empathy in the dance where she realizes Elphaba feels their dance where they do the hand, with the hat, and she had kinda tried to set her up for failure or whatever, but the empathy came out when she saw her Elphaba struggling, like, it was just brilliant. I mean, it was so nice to see her genuine empathy, and I felt that bond really that was what got me in the theaters. Like, I was like
Got all of it.
she extended a bridge to someone who was being essentially bullied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they were friends, I know popular it is taking the validation from outside of us, right? But the way I kinda see it is that Elphaba has hidden herself for a lot of her life because she's been told she has to. And what Glinda is saying is, "No, be brighter. Be bolder. Let people see you."
Yeah.
That might be in the form of clothes or hair or whatever, but that was the main message. She's like, "You're my friend. I want you to feel confident in who you are and in that you're great and people wanna be around you."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So she bolstered her and probably gave her the confidence to make her decisions later on.
Ooh, good point. Mhm.
Yeah, who knows what would have happened otherwise. Yeah. She also I think Alphaba also planted the seed we talked about, yeah, planting seeds for Glinda and whatnot. She definitely planted the seed for Fiero, and no spoilers for the next movie, what happens because 'cause I've seen the plays. Um, no spoilers. He goes through a really big, "Who am I? What do I stand for?" Because his whole thing is, dancing through life, nothing's serious, nothing matters, and she's like, "No, people matter.
Mhm.
Treat them like they matter." People in well, this case, it's animals,
Animals, yeah.
and then he has this whole moment of, I don't how have I been living my life? What have I been doing?
And that's exactly what's happening now. We are having a chain reaction of a mass awakening. It's just someone touching someone, touching someone, touching someone. That's it. And you don't even know who you might have touched.
No,
Yeah.
because you're just being yourself. You're just doing what you think is right, and someone
That
sees
is
that.
the only way forward is through that authenticity. Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
Which is bravery. All right, let me look.
Oh, there's so much bravery in that movie. Even that, like we just talked about, the moment where Glinda steps on the dance floor with Alphabet. I even though it was of her creation, trying to kind of embarrass her,
Right.
I did feel a lot of courage and vulnerability in that because even her friends, I think, were like, "No, don't what are you doing? Don't go out there." And she's like, "I'm."
That's what got me. It was like she has so much empathy. Yeah, because she had a goal and realized, "Oh, that's not working out because 'cause I'm hurting someone. Like, I know this person. She lives with me. I need like, that was wrong," you know?
Or she did something kind to me even though we
Yeah.
loathe each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I had insight this morning into all the common enemies that have been put in our path of recent, like, I maybe, like, the past 2,000 years or something, uh, in our earth of common enemies where this has played out. Mary Magdalene was a common enemy from the church of, like, called names of being a prostitute, called and which none of which is true. She was an equal, and she came with her own divine feminine gifts, but it has been manipulated, and it's like, okay, now, weaponized, don't be like her or you'll go to hell, or, in the Catholic Church, very much so. And I thought, "Oh my gosh," and it's so easy to just believe that. It goes back to curiosity and questioning. Every single thing, question it all. Uh, anyway, I put down, like, the witches who are a lot of herbalists who were using plants to heal, or maybe energy to heal far beyond their time, but, common enemy, labeling as witches. Let's go round them up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We can't just like they wanted Alphabet's power to control it, and then the second she wasn't gonna let them do that, they said, "Yep, you're our enemy." So same with the other witches. It's like, "Oh, we can't control these women. We can't control what Mary Magdalene does, what the witches do. So we have to make them our enemy."
Th I love how you always rephrase my things to like, that makes sense. That's what happened multiple times. I would have to think of more examples, but it we that's exactly what has happened. Like, "Oop, too powerful. Let's dim that down. We don't want people to understand they really can heal themselves. They really can, move their energy. They have sovereignty over who they let into their field. They anything. That you can go to earth and study plants of how to heal yourself. You don't have to always go buy something or, big pharma and all of that. But anyway, that was coming through. I was like, there's been so many common enemies. This has played out in so many ways.
There've been so many common enemies, and this week, I was reading a book, listening to a podcast that kinda talked about the same thing, about the political parties. So in the United States, Republicans, Democrats, right and left, and it put a new viewpoint on it where, some one of the quotes was maybe like, "If you wanna join the right," they say, "Oh, you agree with us about this one thing? Great, come on in. We'll figure the rest out." But what's happened is that I think the left has turned each other into, like, everyone's an enemy almost because, "Oh, we agree on 99% of things, but you think one thing is different. Done. We can't be together, and I'm reading this book called Calling In, which is about kinda call out culture and when it's appropriate, when it's hurtful and destructive, and just how the left has turned on all of each other in these ways of, "Oh, you said something wrong one time. You due to something that hurt someone one time."
Mm, no grace.
No, yeah, no grace for each other, no corrective empathy, just kind of judgment and fear and hurt, and turning each other into our enemies versus and that's why we're kinda falling apart. But
Which is designed that way. It's going to
yeah,
fall apart because it's rooted in energies of war and separation.
yeah, yeah, from a bit of the inside, and it's all happening inside anyway, that's why you do it to other people.
Everything that's happened in is so within, so without. You know, as above, so below. Everything is a mirror. Yeah. Everything here, you can take your experience and just say, why am I, again, with the curiosity, why am I acting like this? Just flip it around to something that's going on inside. And normally it's rooted in a fear. That's why people fight each other, right? They're scared of something. They're either scared of losing something or they're scared someone isn't gonna have rights or they're scared someone's gonna take their rights or
Mhm.
it's fear and fear and fear. And so when we just say, "Hey, I acknowledge you have fears. I have fears too." I think there's room for us to all live together, We how do we move past the fears individually?
Individually and then do it together. That was a little bit of my political rant because what's been on my mind lately.
Yeah.
I think I think and that's why Alphaba is so empathetic and cares so much about the animals and what is right because she's been living and she knows what it's like. She knows that she lives in fear of being, ostracized.
Oh my god, so good, Sarah. Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
she knows what fear is like, and she's looked at it, and so she's like, "I've been an outsider, so I can empathize with these animals that are trying to be pushed to be outsiders. I can even empathize with you, who you're so different from me, and you don't look like an outsider, but I can see your fear, I can see how you're like me." She's very, very good at that.
Oh, I know. What if we all could see how we were all like each other? Or I was a version of that maybe in another life, or I did that and, that would be a beautiful thing. Yes.
Yeah, that was me for a while where I would kinda walk around, and if I felt myself judging or being afraid of somebody or even feeling sorry for them because
Yeah.
that's not really helpful. It
No, but
puts
it's normal.
normal,
Yeah.
it puts you at different levels to be like, "Oh, poor you," versus, "How can I empower you or help you or what can I do for you?" And I would walk around and I'd be like, "Oh, in another life, I was you." And if I've been, energy forever, then I've probably experienced what you're experiencing at some point, and why would so that makes us like, I have no reason to judge you or fear you or have anything but love for you.
And when you move into that space of that solidness in who you are and you have things in your life that are authentically aligned in your relationships and what you're doing day to day, um, that is like the sense of uh, unshakable love that it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing, and that's where we're at right now. That is the only thing if you're on this path, if you're on this like path of growth, I guess. Sorry, the dog is hitting my hand to pet him as I'm talking, uh, but that is
Obviously, you're not petting him enough,
that
Lisa.
that that is the only. Uh, I don't even wanna say to do, it's the only way we need to be right now. That's it. We don't even have to do anything. we just have to practice that embodiment, getting that solid with our internal, like that pyramid. I know I've talked about that before, like that solidarity with ourselves. It won't matter if someone else is trying to say you don't exist, or if someone else is trying to say you're not valid and what you're doing is wrong. When you're that solid, it does not, you won't even think about it anymore. You won't care.
Mm. But I guess for the animals who are being in Wicked, who are being told that they don't matter, they should be quiet, who are being oppressed,
Mhm.
how do I say does that mean that there's an opportunity for them to be like, "Well, it doesn't matter what you say?" Or yeah, what does that mean in that context?
I don't I don't know, I didn't rewatch it yesterday, but are they being rounded up too? Like, did they have to go into hiding?
A lot of them are leaving Oz, yeah, or, like, the ones that work at the university are being fired and taken away. I think they are being locked up, a lot of them, if not leaving Oz to avoid that.
Yeah, so that I do understand, I not wanting to be locked up and taken away. I So this is a tricky question to answer. You could actually parallel this with the rounding up maybe of immigrants here now. I don't know if it's the same thing, but that's gotta be, like, the deepest fear that your very life is at risk, right? Or your very family, so I don't know, that's gotta feel all I have faith in because anyone whose personal safety is at risk does not have the capacity to do this work usually, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's because like, their foundation is not settled. Their all of the things that you need to feel safe are being taken from you. And
Mm,
so it's up to everyone else who has the capacity to make a stand in the best way or do there's many ways to do this. It doesn't I'm never advocating fighting, but maybe there's like a peaceful protest to do. Maybe there's a journalistic thing to shine light on in a way. Maybe there's and maybe it's simply you're doing your own inner work because you have safety and security, and that's creating the space and consciousness pockets on earth for the rest of the collective to follow. So every role is important, and it's important to understand those that are not feeling that sense of safety do not have that capacity. So it's up to anyone else in the other roles. It's not an accident you're in a peripheral role. If you have any, immediate way to touch these issues, it's not an accident you're there. Like, what can you do to move it forward toward love and unity for all? Yeah.
yes, yes, that was such a ah, yes, that's exactly what I needed to hear from that, 'cause like you said, it's a tough question, but, like, truly, some people do not have the privilege of safety and security, explore these things that we're talking about and that we explore in our lives, why it's so special, and we're so grateful, and that can be our role to be as strong in ourselves as we can, 'cause that does have an impact, like you said, on the collective has an impact on the collective and making space for that new vibration, and also, if people see you doing it, maybe that ICE worker, the people enforcing the systems that are hurting people, maybe they see that and they go, "Oh," they realize the work within themselves they have to do or that they don't wanna contribute to this kind of system anymore, and yeah, it's one person at a time, and we're doing it for ourselves and making it possible for other people to do it once we can get them safety and security. Mm, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Which I really do believe Elphaba had that, like, secure foundation, and so she actually was in a position to do the right thing and release the lion cub, I think it was, or was it a tiger? I don't
Mm.
remember. you know,
Sure. No, I don't remember either.
something or the cat,
Yeah.
I remember seeing anyway. Yeah, she was like, "No, this is something I can do, even though it may seem small and it's only one, but I'm helping them feel like they're not fighting this on their own." So, and again, I don't even wanna use that word fighting because I don't like that. I like building bridges.
Yeah, it's like we need a different word,
Yeah,
maybe or
supporting, advocating.
advocating, maybe calling in. That's the name of the book I'm reading. Um, yeah, fighting has a very specific connotation. And I guess in part 2, we'll see how now Alphaba responds to, like we talked about earlier, when people are actively trying to engage you in the frequency of war
Mhm.
and in that type of fighting, we'll see how she responds to it.
Exactly. Because our energy goes somewhere. Everything we do is going somewhere to be called upon, called in. And so it's very important once you're aware, how is my energy right now? What am I contributing to? Am I angrily fighting someone? Am I, unhooking from that disagreement? Am I stating my piece? There's so many different ways to handle things, but just with the awareness that this energy is going somewhere.
Mhm.
And then
So
coming back inward, really, because when you're engaged in active fighting, it's going somewhere, but also it's rooted deep inside. The discord is also inside.
yeah, and until you look internally, it'll just keep recreating externally. But it's so easy to get caught up in that spiral of it. We were talking about it before this that I needed you helped me get out of that spiral, but it was all internal of layers of shame and judgment, and it's sometimes we need each other. We need a kind gesture to get out of that.
And maybe to yourself, like a kind gesture to yourself. Like, oh, I was really mad and I sent a really bad text or a post out. Okay. Oh, I just had a moment of weakness. Let's, repair from there inwardly and outwardly.
Yeah, kind moment. Let me draw myself a bath.
Yeah.
Let me, like, journal for a half an hour, let me make a piece of art, let me go for a walk, whatever it is. We f we forget to treat ourselves. Uh, I have a affirmation right now that I say into my water, and it's on where I get ready during the day that says, "Treating myself like a precious object will make me strong." And so I keep repeating that over. That is from Julie Cameron's The Artist's Way,
Okay.
that
I
book.
love that.
Yeah,
I
I
love it.
thought it was and even at first when I started using it, I was like, "No, that's not true. This is wrong. You have to be hard on yourself," and there was a lot of internal resistance that I had to work through to even be able to, like, say that to myself.
And yet you would tell a child that without
Not
hesitation. This
but
is
not
this is
everyone
always my thing. What?
not everyone would though, not that specifically, because we do tell children, not as much anymore, but they've told children, like, "Toughen up," you
Oh,
know?
well, I
"Rub
wouldn't
some
say that.
dirt
I
in it."
mean, you personally. I mean, you wouldn't say that
No.
to a child. I'm just, I don't.
I might have said some version of it,
Yeah.
n just not being aware or conscious of saying
Prior
even like
same, like, but prior to now. But now if you came up with, like, sweet affirmations, you would I turned my light on, by the way. All of a sudden, storm clouds came in and it got dark, and I hope this video is watchable. Uh, anyway, I always say to myself, like, what I would want children to hear, why aren't we saying that to fellow adults, or why aren't we saying that to ourselves? Why would I say anything different to myself than I would say to a child that I met on a street who was having a hard time, right?
yeah.
I don't
Why why would you?
It's just questions to, like, ponder, like, when you're speaking harshly towards others and towards yourself, it's like, Would I say that to a 4-year-old? Would I say that
Mhm.
to someone crying? Would I say that to someone having a tantrum because 'cause they're feeling very upset inside? Like a child, I mean, in a state of awareness. Prior to that, of course, we've all said things. Yeah,
We have.
yeah.
This is not a smooth transition, but is there
No,
anything else from the
no.
movie that we need to dive into?
Yes. Let me check one more thing and then, um, I think we oh my goodness, he keeps hitting my arm to pet him.
I would love to be there to give him a hug right now.
Yeah, no, that's it, like, that is that I think everything, like, that was everything is there anything on your end that you were pondering as watching this? I can't wait for part 2, but yes, I wanna watch part 1 again.
Yeah, I have to wait to watch part 2 because 'cause I'm flying to my family where they live in, like, early December, and I think the movie comes out late November, so I don't have
It's
to
in,
wait
like,
that
November
long.
21st, but again, I'm not counting down.
No, not at all. Well, and so my mom and I are gonna watch it together, and we both agreed not to watch it before I get there.
Perfect.
But I guess what always sticks with me is when I first watched it, the song "I'm Not That Girl," where
We have a visitor. Yes.
he's been so patient this
He's
whole
been very
time.
patient.
After this, you guys can just go on the couch and cuddle.
"Hey, honey." Okay.
That song has just, like, stuck with me since I was so young about, he wants her, she looks like this, she's exactly what he should want, and I've had to go through that, like, personal journey of she has of, like, well, it doesn't matter, or I can't control what they want, or I'm not gonna try to change myself to become that person.
Right.
I'm just gonna become stronger and more kind and compassionate in who I am, and that's all I can do. That's all I would ever want to do.
And that's all anyone needs to do once we clear those layers of external power and validation away, because when we do that, it's just an automatic attraction to a similar vibration. It's just it will just happen because it will be correct because it will your soul is shining through. Bridge to your soul. I like that's my thing. Like you were just embodied in matter, but when you really kind of dig down and you're like, I'm not her because I'm not." No one
Yeah.
that's actually actually always blows my mind that billions of people are completely different. We are all a different little part of a whole. And so, yay, you're not her.
Yeah. Well, we spend so much time trying to be someone other than ourselves
Yes.
because we think that that's better or more wanted or more valuable, whatever. Yeah, we convince ourselves that it's better to be somebody else. She's like, "I'm not that girl."
No.
And end of sentence. Cool.
Yes.
Great.
Mhm.
That will just probably always stick with me and always make me emotional. But excited to recap slash discuss slash dive into.
I know.
I I can't pick a phrase right now. Apparently, excited for the next one.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. I hope people watching it in the future and part 2 and go back and watch part 1 and unpeel all of these layers.
Yeah, put in the comments if there's
Yeah.
what stuck with you from the movie,
Please.
layers we didn't touch on,
Yes.
any thoughts you had on it and how it relates to your life, relates to the world right now. We'd
Yep.
love to hear about it.
Yes. Yep. Please do that, everyone. That would be amazing.
Okay. Well, I love you, Lisa.
Love you too.
We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.